Good morning. You are listening to UpReach, a morning devotional presented by the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee, to encourage you as you face the opportunities and challenges of today. Let's begin this day together with some inspiring thoughts from God's holy word. Judge not, that you be not judged. For with what judgment you judge, you will be judged. And with the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. Matthew chapter 7, verses 1 and 2. One of the most common activities is the attempt to find classifications into which we can easily divide people. The fundamental difference between one kind of person and another can be seen in a person's attitude toward others. By and large, that attitude may be one of two things. It may be identification, and it may be detachment. I have recently come across instances of both these attitudes toward others. Clifford Bax writes of George Russell, or A.E. as he was commonly called. People were not real to A.E. Never once did he show any interest in a person's background, in his hopes, in his troubles. We were shadows and listeners. You see, George Russell was quite detached in his attitude toward other people. To him, people were not persons with hearts and emotions and feelings and experiences. To him, they were merely an audience to whom to talk and to impress. H.G. Wells, who knew her veil, said of Beatrice Webb, the famous Fabian socialist, she saw people as samples moving. To her, again, people were not persons. They were samples and specimens to be statistically analyzed and recorded and entered on schedules. On the other hand, James Agate wrote of G.K. Chesterton, unlike some other thinkers, Chesterton understood his fellow men. The woes of a jockey were as familiar to him as the worries of a judge. Chesterton, more than any man I have ever known, had the common touch. He would give the whole of his attention even to a shoe shiner. Anybody, jockey, judge, or shoe shiner, was to Chesterton a person in whom he was intensely interested and with whose feelings and experiences he was determined to identify himself. Again, Clifford Bax notes that in a letter, Keats, the poet, said that a poet has no personality, is a chameleon, finds that he is the billiard balls if he watches a game. That is to say, the poet instinctively, and because he cannot help it, identifies himself with everyone he sees. He instinctively enters into their experience, even identifies himself with the balls which are knocked about in a game of billiards. What about you today? Are you sometimes guilty of categorizing or classifying people into self-conceived groups for simple identification? Why not recognize that to do so prevents you from truly getting to know and from learning to value and appreciate the worth of the person? Will you determine to truly get to know someone for who they truly are today? This has been UpReach, a presentation of the Church Street Church of Christ in Lewisburg, Tennessee. I am Kyle Bolton, the pulpit minister at Church Street, and I would like to personally invite you to come and share times of Bible study and worship with us each week. We meet every Sunday at 9 o'clock a.m. for our morning worship, followed by our Sunday school for all ages at 10:15 a.m. Then we meet again at 6 o'clock p.m. for our evening worship. We also have a midweek meeting for devotion and Bible study on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. I hope to see you there. Have a blessed day.
I traveled down a lonely road and no one seemed to care. The burden on my weary back had bowed me to despair. I oft complained to Jesus how folks were treating me, and then I heard him say so tenderly, my feet were all so weary upon the Calvary road. The cross became so heavy, I fell beneath the load. Be faithful, weary pilgrim, the morning I can see. Just lift your cross and follow close to me. I work so hard for Jesus, I often boast and say, I sacrifice.